I'm 75 years old as I record this, and I need you to understand something right away. This isn't a motivational speech. This isn't wisdom wrapped in pretty words. This is a warning, one I wish someone had given me when I still had time to change everything. Most of what you've been told about aging, success, and happiness is either incomplete or completely wrong. And the people who passed those ideas down to you weren't trying to hurt you. They were just repeating what they were taught. The same lies I believed for most of my life. For over 5 decades, I thought I was doing everything right. I followed the plan. I worked hard. I delayed gratification. I sacrificed today for a better tomorrow. That's what responsible adults do, right? Then one ordinary Tuesday afternoon, at 53 years old, my body betrayed me. I wasn't running a marathon. I wasn't doing anything dramatic. I was sitting at my desk, answering emails, thinking about deadlines. Suddenly, my chest tightened, like someone had wrapped a rope around my heart and started pulling. My vision blurred. I remember trying to stand up, and then nothing. When I woke up, there were machines beeping around me. My mouth was dry. My wife was holding my hand, crying silently, trying not to wake me even though I was already awake. The doctor later said the words that still echo in my head. You were minutes away from being done. They called it a medical scare. They said I was fortunate, but what they didn't see, what nobody saw, was that something inside me broke open in that hospital bed, because for the first time in my life, I couldn't distract myself with work or plans or responsibilities. I had to sit there and look honestly at the life I had built, and I didn't like what I saw. From the outside, it looked impressive. Career, stability, respect. From the inside, it felt hollow. I realized I had spent most of my life preparing to live, instead of actually living. I kept thinking, if this is the end, is this really all there is? That's when the most frightening thought hit me. If I had died that day, people would have said nice things. They always do. But very little of what they would mention actually mattered to me. I owned things. I achieved titles. I checked boxes. But the moments that give life its weight, the quiet ones, the human ones, I had postponed most of them. And that's when I understood the most dangerous sentence we ever tell ourselves. I still have time. You probably say it too. I know because I said it for years. I'll call them more later. I'll travel when things slow down. I'll rest when I earn it. I'll do what I love when it's practical. Here's the truth no one likes to admit. Later is a moving target. It keeps drifting just far enough away that you never reach it. I watched entire decades disappear that way. Every time I reached a milestone, the satisfaction lasted about a day, maybe 2. Then the pressure returned. New goals, bigger expectations, more responsibility. The finish line kept moving and I kept running. I once had a colleague, brilliant man, relentless worker. He used to brag about never taking time off. Said vacations were for people who weren't serious. He died at 67. Heart failure. No warning. At his memorial, his daughter said something I'll never forget. I know my father loved us. I just wish he had been around enough to show it. That sentence should terrify you, because your biggest regrets won't come from the risks you took and failed at. They'll come from the conversations you never had. The love you assumed could wait. The experiences you delayed until your body, your energy, or your circumstances no longer allowed them. I don't lose sleep over money mistakes. I lose sleep over the trip I kept postponing with my wife. Over the years, I let silence grow between me and my brother. Over the creative ideas I dismissed as unrealistic. You think you'll remember the busy days. You won't. You'll remember the empty ones. My father died suddenly when I was in my 40s. We weren't estranged. We were just busy, always planning to talk properly someday. That someday never arrived. And now every unanswered question, every unspoken apology lives with me instead. After my heart attack, I didn't become fearless. I became honest. I stepped back. I disappointed some people. I let opportunities pass. And for the first time, I asked a different question. Not, is this impressive, but does this actually matter? What I discovered is painfully simple. Life is built from moments, not milestones. It's laughter over dinner. It's quiet mornings. It's meaningful work, not constant work. It's presence. And presence is impossible when you're always racing toward the future. I know what you're thinking. That sounds nice, but the real world doesn't work that way. You're right. You still have responsibilities. But here's the trap. You can meet your responsibilities without sacrificing your soul. Most people just never stop to question the trade they're making. So ask yourself this, honestly. If your life ended sooner than expected, would you feel at peace with how you spent your days? Not proud, not admired, peaceful. If the answer makes you uncomfortable, that discomfort is a gift. It's trying to wake you up. I have grandchildren now. When I watch them, I see the same urgency, the same pressure, the same anxiety I lived under for decades. They think they're behind. They think they're failing. They think life is something they need to catch up to. They don't realize they're already in it. That's why I'm sharing this. Because maybe you'll hear it before a hospital bed forces you to listen. Time is not generous. It only feels that way when you're young. But it moves quietly, without announcements, without mercy. One day you'll realize more years are behind you than ahead of you. And that realization changes everything. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell him to work less. I'd tell him to notice more, to stop confusing motion with meaning, to stop delaying joy until it felt deserved. Call the people you love. Say the things you're afraid to say. Take the trip while your knees still work. Create while your mind is sharp. Rest without guilt. Don't wait for permission. It never comes. I don't know how much time I have left. None of us do. But I know this. The years after my wake-up call have been the fullest of my life. Not because they were easy, but because they were intentional. And that's my hope for you. That you don't need a crisis to start paying attention. That you don't reach the end wondering where your life went. The clock doesn't stop ticking just because you're busy. So what will you do differently starting today? Because someday isn't in the future. Someday is right now.